1 Peter, it says, always be ready to give an answer for the hope that you have. And that's my word for the week this week. Always be ready to give an answer for the hope you have. We live in times of challenge. We live in times when people are finding life difficult. And if you go around with a smile on your face, sometimes people challenge you. And this has been on my mind a bit this week because, well, hang on a minute, let me explain. I work as a rural chaplain in the heart of Wales, and I'm here today feeding these cattle. We farm a little bit to be amongst the people that we are here for, to serve and to reach. And the dogs here, you won't see dogs running around in a minute. They've just brought these cattle up off this hill for me so I can put some feed on the ground. Just give them a little boost now in the summer. Some of them, they're all up here with the bull, and some of them need building up a bit. I'm here today because a mate of mine, Jeremy Marshall, has challenged me. He's issued me one of these challenges. I don't do challenges, don't go tagging me on social media. But he's challenged me to just tell my story for Graham Miller and the guys at London City Mission, and tell it in 185 seconds, which is tough, but it's 185 years anniversary of the London City Mission, which is a great organisation. How did I become a Christian? I was raised in what my father described as a scientific atheist home. It was that era of confidence in science, I suppose. And some of these cows get a bit leery, hang on a minute. In the dogs, stand! In the in that sort of positive atmosphere after the war, the 60s generation. But I grew up with moral relativism, because that's what philosophical relativism leads to. My O-level didn't go too well. My parents scraped together money, and I'm very grateful they sent me off to boarding school for my sixth form. In boarding school, it's a terrible experience. That first week was dreadful. You're a 16-year-old and you're amongst lads of the 16, 17, 18-year-old trying to prove yourself. It was hard. So I just needed to get out of there at the end of that week. Managed to get myself out of there, got myself on a minibus going to Hereford, which was fine, didn't know what it was. Got on there and discovered it was the Christian Union. Oh well, oh never mind. I'm getting out of here, so we'll manage. They went to a meeting in Hereford, which was, oh dear, it was amazing. Never seen anything like it in my life. It was off the scale, crazy as far as I was concerned. And I was standing there, arrogant young youth, explaining it all away in terms of mass psychosis. And that went well for about an hour or so while they were doing whatever they were getting on with there. And then all of a sudden God spoke to me. Now don't get freaked out by that. I don't want to weird anybody out. I was not expecting it. It was quite unusual. There was a voice that said, you can't go on working against faith like this. I was explaining it all away, see. God spoke to me and that was it. But I knew it was God because all of a sudden with the voice there was this sense of a presence. Somebody much bigger than me, much stronger than me, and much cleaner, that's all I can explain it as, than I was. I sat down in tears at myself, the mess I'd made of myself. And yeah, that was the beginning of it. Back into the dormitory that night, it was after lights out by the time we got back. And there was this hostile question. Where have you been? Hereford. Pause. You're not a Christian, you? Hadn't thought about it. Yeah, I suppose I am. No? Yeah. And that was it. That was where the pounding started. And that went on for 2.5 years. Now, I don't regret that for a bit. It really cleared me up and sorted out where I stood, and it helped me to have to be clear about where I stood with God. Here I am, 35 years on now in Christian ministry, and I've got to say I work for the best boss in the world. He's always exciting. It's never dull, but I don't regret it and wouldn't ever go back. Okay, so what I'm getting at is this. Christianity is not a matter of buildings and structures. We've been learning that during the COVID crisis. What we've learned, again, and we should have known in the first place, is that Christianity is about having a living relationship with the living God and the hope that brings into our life. So that life does bring its challenges. It will. It's a fallen world. We're all there, and yeah, it is always exciting. But if there's a God who's with you, well, like it says elsewhere in the Bible, if God is for us, who can be against us? And you know, that's the sort of experience that a Christian, a real Christian, has. God is for you, and that's somewhere worth being. And we need to relate that. We need to show that. Those of us who've been privileged to know that for ourselves, we need to be ready to pass that on, show it, demonstrate it in the world we live in. We're not serving a God who's dead. We're not serving a God who lives in stone buildings. We're serving a God who's alive, who made all this that we see around us. The glory of it all will one day remake it because of what he's done through the Lord Jesus. That is what we stand for. That is the reason for the hope that's in us. Our God is not dead. We can argue historically, we can argue scientifically, we can argue all sorts of things, and it comes back to this. He's alive. He's alive because he died on the crossroads again. I can show that to you historically, and you think, oh yes, very nice. But he's alive in my heart, he's alive in my life, and he's working with me, in me and through me every day. Looking after me up here with these cattle. These are like 500, 600 kilos a piece. And when they're going for their food, let me tell you, you want to get out of the way. It can be dangerous. Life can be dangerous. But if God is for us, who can be against us? And that's the heart of the Christian's hope. And it is the basis of it is the Christian's testimony. So these cattle have nearly finished their food and I got to move on. But let me leave that thought with you. There's my word for the week. Be ready to give an answer for the hope that's in you. And if the hope isn't in you, you better seek after God, because you need to clinch a deal. It's not about bricks and structures and religion. It's about a living relationship with the living God. God bless you.